Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR370's Impact Slammervesary. But I am not alone. I have the pleasure to be joined by the ultimate one. How you doing, man?
Hey, buddy, what's going on? Did you miss me?
Oh. Well,
We haven't spoken since Double or Nothing.
it has been a couple of months. So what the hell have you been up to, sir? If you don't.
Well, I've been covering all the crazy stuff that's been going on in wrestling. I'm loving the whole Forbidden Door stuff. And then the news that's coming in. Well, we're going to cover all that today. I mean, it's a great time to be a professional wrestling fan, not a sports entertainment fan, but a pro wrestling fan. So, I kind of miss talking to you, though. I'll tell you the truth.
No, yeah, to be fair, it has been strange. And like I said, with schedules and stuff like this, just haven't planned it. But now we get a chance, and you're on the double today because obviously we've got the episodes that we're doing right now for Impact. And then on Wednesday, we're going to have Ultimate One join us again for AEW. So, like I said, it's been 2 months, but we're going to make up for it now,
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I hope the fans are ready because I have a lot to say about this Slammervesary show that it was great. I mean, I keep saying that Impact is improving, even though they do things that I'm like questioning it. But right now, after this Slammervesary show, they proved right there that they're not playing. They want to be major players in the professional wrestling scene, and I like the show the way it was. But we'll talk about it as we continue on.
No, that. But first off, I'm going to get your thoughts on Impact since Rebellion, because obviously, I mean, there's been a lot going on in the past couple of months. Have you been keeping up with Impact? And as I can guess, you've been pretty impressed with you've seen heading to Slammiversary.
Yeah. I mean, I like the whole storyline as far as from the time I think we did Rebellion to now because we didn't get to do Under Siege, and even though that card was pretty good, but it led off to other storylines. But I like what they did because then I think he wrestled Omega wrestled Moose, and then now Sammy Callahan comes into the fray, and the way they were trying so hard to keep him away from the world title shot, they got him suspended, and then Don Callis gets fired. So that whole storyline was is pretty good that led to Slammiversary. But let's not forget the other stories, the other matches that involve, especially the I was very surprised with oh my God, the Matt Cardona and Myers feud that Tennille Dashwood now all of a sudden was involved, and I'm like, wait a minute, where does Tennille Dashwood land in this thing? But I see the way they set that up, and I mean, I like the way they're doing it. Like I said, you could tell the Impact. Not only they trying to be big players, but they also, and if you think about it, they're the ones, really making up with New Japan Pro Wrestling as far as using their talent and using, a lot of the main players over there to bring them into Impact. So, I mean, I got spoiler alert, but I don't want to talk about it because I heard somebody else join Bullet Club from Impact. But we won't want to tell the fans that yet because I don't want to be a spoiler.
No, without a doubt. But it's good that you've been enjoying the product. So we're going to go straight to Slammiversary, July 17th. The Slammiversary pre-show first, and even begins, of course, with the preview special. We see footage of the Impact Rebellion pay-per-view where Omega defeated Rich Swann, the Impact World title. We see some talking heads talking about what the Impact World Champion means for the promotion. I thought Eric Young was very, very good as a talking head. Of course, Scott D'Amore talked about the X Division Championship being the coolest part of the company with talents like Loki, Amazing Red, and AJ Styles. And I think Impact need to do this. Even if people know, they need a constant reminder of the kind of just the talent that they've had before and what the X Division actually means. Because we've spoken about this in the past as well, haven't we?
Yes, it is amazing because I love that. Impact makes a beautiful, beautiful video package when it comes to the history of Impact. I mean, so many wrestlers today, they are still wrestling to this day, and some of them may have stopped wrestling, but the amount of talent that has come through Impact. We talk about the Christian Cage, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Robert Roode. I mean, we could keep on. And the guys that's still there to this day, like Chris Sabian, Scott D'Amore, who was part of Team Canada, even Eric Young. I mean, you're talking about talent that has passed through there, and the way they did this video packet, and how much uh, this means as a company, especially now that Omega has this belt. He's an outsider. The way they're making him look. I mean, the Impact, it was 19 years already, because Ring of Honor and them started about the same time, and those two companies has been around, and just when you think they're gonna die, they don't. And Impact has been one of those that they were on the deathbed back in 2013 all the way to like 15. And I'm telling you, the way I look at this video package, I'm like, these guys are very, very serious of being contenders, and they're really working with the other promotions. I tell you, I was very impressed with the video package. I love the video package, and that was a good way to start the before the pre-show. You could say that was part of the pre-show, but it's pretty good.
But even with the kind of Sami Callihan and talking about what it means to him, why he's an Impact, and it just adds, like you said, for reasons for the main event as well. And then they move back to the current talk with focus from last year's Slammiversary show, talking up to the night's instalment of the annual pay-per-view. Then we hear audio from inside the Skyway Studios in the background, what appeared to be a production error, where someone sounded to be in the ring, cut the promo. But then we get...
I'm like, somebody messed up. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You go, okay, production issues, but and then of course we see Don Callis 5 of Impact Wrestling, and then finally the countdown wraps up with Shoot Live, where D'Lo Brown and Matt Striker welcome us to the Slammiversary pre-show. Now, unfortunately, we've had Josh Matthews this past couple of months, and I think he has been a slight improvement on Matt Striker. Am I wrong, or is it a kind of anyway, like between Josh Matthews and Matt Striker?
Matt Striker is a good commentator. The only thing about Matt Striker is that he talks too much, as far as trying to teach the fans the basic of the wrestling move or whatever. He's trying to give people history. Josh Matthews, I gotten used to hearing him in Impact because, after Mike Tenay left and the other guy left, now Josh Matthews took over. So even though he used to get on my nerves and the way he used to commentate, but I got used to him being part of the commentating. So when you see Josh Matthews compared to Matt Striker, Matt Striker got all the info and he knows his wrestling well, but I think Josh Matthews, his flow is better than Matt Striker. And D'Lo Brown is there. He's just confused. I'll tell you why. Go ahead.
Well, I was about to say, D'Lo maybe needs a little bit more work, but from there we see David Penza kick off the ring instructions for our lone pre-show match of the evening, and it's Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championships, Decay versus Fire and Flavor, and we see the champions dominated the action. Cutting off Rosemary for a partner. He beat her down and appeared to be well on the way to a successful title defense until a double boot spot allowed the Demon Assassin to tag Havoc into the match. The biggest, strongest member of the match knocked around the opposition until a blind charge into the steel post left her stunned. Havoc shook it off, countered a sleeper into a tombstone, and picked up the win and titles for her and Rosemary. So yes, your new Impact Tag Team Champions. It is Decay. What were your thoughts?
Oh, this really surprised me. I'm gonna tell you that right now. When I saw the match, the matchup between Rosemary and Havoc, and the reason I said to myself, well, they put Havoc with Rosemary because now a tag team partner left the company, so why not put Havoc with Rosemary? I mean, they'll make a good tag team. But I thought, in my heart, I said Fire and Flavor, they tag team prowess and the way they are as a tag team, they're pretty good. But seeing them lose to Havoc and Rosemary, at first, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, they're really pushing Decay again. And you know how I feel about Decay starting any damn pay-per-view, So I said, well, I guess they are really going to push them now. And we all know why they gave those belts to Rosemary and Havoc. I guess we all know that Kiara Hogan left the company now. She did her final tapings. And I think that's why. But now, what happens to Tasha Steelz? She's going to be now singles because, I mean, again, at the end of the day, the women's division right now in Impact is pretty good. But with Deonna Purrazzo in there as far as the champion, I see Tasha Steelz in there probably being single. But this match having Fire and Flavor lose was very surprising to me. The match was pretty decent. But I mean, I thought I didn't see how you call it when I saw Kiara Hogan grab Havoc with like to put her like some type of sleeper, and then she just grabbed that and just tombstoned her and beat her. I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. It was surprising.
Well, it was great to have the fans back first and foremost, and like you said,
Yes,
Decay's technically starting the show as well. I'm impressed with Fire and Flavor the more I see him. It was quite a really fun match and quite a nice fit. Out of 5, then, what are you going to score the opening match?
I'll give it 3.5. 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah,
I'm going to give it.
Right, you gonna give it a 4?
No. I'm going to give it a 3 3/4 out of 5 because I quite enjoyed that.
I think 3.5. It wasn't a bad. I mean, I seen, and me and you always joke about this all the time. When Decay starts the show, their matches be a 2 or 2.5. But this was decent. It wasn't a bad match. It was just surprising to see Fire and Flavor lose the belts, because they just got the belts a couple of months ago. So for them to lose it again, but then we know why they gave the belts to them, because Kiara Hogan is leaving the company. So.
Well, prediction-wise for that, of course, the WNR took on the Choke Slam report and both went fire. We both went fire and Flavor. So we both got 0 points on that. And poll-wise, people voted on Fire and Flavor anyway, 64%. That's their own fault. And then they run through the card before we start.
64%. A lot of people thought they were going to win. So that's the part that. And let me ask you a question. Do you think? I mean, at first when I saw it, do you think it was cool to have the Knockouts Tag Team Champions in the pre-show? You know what I'm saying? Then again, I say, look at the card they had. So where the hell are we going to put it anyway? But
I think that's a fair point, especially with title change. But like you said, it might build more excitement towards actually ordering the card if you can see like kind of fun match on the kind of kickoff or the pre-show, I suppose. And then before we start the show, of course, the main show proper, your excitement level for the event and match most looking forward to.
Definitely. The one I was looking for the most was the Omega and Callahan, because I was like, okay, Omega's going to be in a situation. Yes, he fought Moxley in that explosive barbed wire match, but we're talking about Sami Callahan. Callahan, you can hit him with 20,000 garbage cans. That man still comes after you. So that was the match I was really, really looking forward to. Plus, I was waiting for the surprises, because Slammervesary, if you guys know, that throughout the last couple of months, they kept saying, they're showing surprises and stuff like that. And with the way they did it last year, where you had a bunch of ex-WWE wrestlers show up unexpected. So that's what I was waiting for, surprises and the Callahan and Omega match.
Well, after the longest warning screen in pay-per-view history, we finally shoot to the cold open package for tonight's Slammervesary main broadcast. And it's all about Sammy's dream to be champion and bring it home. Then we see Kenny Omega and Don Callis arriving to the venue early today, as does Sami Callahan. And then we shoot as we see the fans inside the building for a return. And of course, we get the official instructions for our opening contest here at the show, which will be the Ultimate X match for the Championship. Trey Miguel versus Ace Austin versus Petey Williams versus Rohit Raju versus Chris Bay versus Josh Alexander.
Let me tell you something. I totally forgot that the Ultimate X match, the belt was on the line. I picked the wrong guy. I'll tell you right now. I know I lost that match also, because I forgot that Josh Alexander was defending his belt in that Ultimate X match, and I picked Trey Miguel to win it off. But go ahead. That match was exciting, though. Very exciting.
Well,
before you start, now, before they mentioned the Ultimate X match, did you see D'Lo Brown when Matt Striker asked him, let them know what's coming up next, and he kept looking at his papers and he was lost. He didn't know what was coming up. I mean, that had me dying. I'm like, the man looks lost.
he did look to be a bit of trouble, but like you say, maybe. Because sometimes the way Impact might film it as well, you can be all right looking at your notes if you're doing it, like you said, off screen. But as soon as the camera's on you, you should be. It's even like when you're watching the match through the monitor, and when the camera's on you, you look at the ring. That's the kind of thing.
It was hilarious, because he looked at us. I felt so bad for him. Like, Matt Striker was like, tell him what's next. He was looking for his paper, and he didn't know what to look at. I was like, oh my God. I said, just start the damn match.
Well, we move on, like I said, the Ultimate X match, yes. To win a competitor, we'd have to climb the ring, rigging, maneuver their way across the ropes and retrieve the title, and Raju repeatedly tried underhanded tactics to grab hold of the belt, but having to work for it. He also repeatedly failed. The competitors engaged in a mid-ring submission spot that started with a sharpshooter and went all the way up to the ropes, where Hanging Alexander grabbed an ankle lock on Bay. Bay took Ace out with a cut of the structure. Williams on caught Canadian destroyers on Raju and Miguel, and then delivered another to Bay, who's on the shoulders of Alexander. That looked like it killed him. And then late Alexander wiped out Miguel with a super exploder, then tussled with Bay over the title. Austin tried to steal the belt from them, but crashed and burned before the walking weapon finally secured the gold and assured the continuation of his reign. What were your thoughts on this?
Oh my God. It's funny because Chris Bay was trying to be the smart guy, trying to climb up the ropes real quick to try to grab that. The best part of, I think, that I saw, two parts, and that's the one where Josh Alexander was hanging from the cross ropes up and top and holding on to Chris Bay on an ankle lock where everybody had a lock on somebody. And then that vicious Canadian destroyer that Petey Williams held Chris Bay while Josh held Chris Bay on his shoulder. That was, oh my God, that was crazy. I mean, this match was awesome. And I'm going to give this match a 4.5 because the Ultimate X match is what brought to me, as a person who's been watching Impact since day one, Ultimate X and the X Division has been the heartbeat and the foundation of Impact. So for them to start this match, and Rohit Rajiv, I mean, as much as he looks like he's comedic, this guy, he's pretty good also. I mean, he tried every damn thing, every trick in the book to try to bring down that belt. But right now, Josh Alexander has that belt, and I don't see anybody beating him. But this match was pretty good. I'm giving it at least a 4.25. I'm gonna give.
You're gonna get 4.25. Well, like I said, they're all great talents, and the camera work missed 2 big bumps to the outside, which is a little bit disappointing. But Rohit was my MVP in this, and like I said, that submission spot was awesome. It was a great way to start a show. Take a battle, guys.
Rohit was your MVP guy in there?
I just think, like you said, that mix of comedy with what he can do in the ring as well. And I think he is, like you talk about a Chris Bay or, Josh Alexander, like Rohit Raju is criminally underrated wrestlers in the entire planet,
Yeah, and I think for me in that matchup, I think Petey Williams was my MVP because the stuff that he was doing, and he's up there in age. He's been around forever. I mean, for him to do those Canadian, and I always say this Canadian destroyer, he was the first guy I ever seen doing that move, and everybody else followed. But ain't nobody does it better than him. So to me, Petey Williams was the MVP of that match, and I'm surprised that he didn't win. But then again, you had the weapon there, Josh Alexander. This guy's no joke. But it was a great match. Man.
Right out, like I said, I'm going to give it a 4.25 out of 5 as well. Prediction wise, WNR went for Chris Bay, and of course, Jake Paul went Trey Miguel, so it's still 0-0. Poll wise, ASOS got 30%, Trey Miguel got 14%, Chris Bay 33%, and Alexander with 40% of the vote there. So he was favourite. And then we see Gia Miller interview Don Callis. We see him outside the room of Kenny Omega, where Don Callis talks about Tommy Dreamer, telling everyone he fired him. He reminds us that real men don't quit, they get fired. He talks about the match being ruled a no disqualification bout with a title at stake and how that is advantage of a baseball bat toting Sammy Callahan. He talks about knowing Omega for 27 years, knows he's been there for so many moments. He'll be there again tonight when the God Kenny Omega makes another big moment by putting Callahan away with a winged angel, and the Callis works at Impact will be complete. And then we see the pre-match video package for our next match of the evening. It's time for our mixed tag team bout featuring a mystery participant. Our first is Brian Myers with Sam Bill, his partner Tenille Dashwood, along with Caleb with a K. And of course, like you said, we talked about Tenille Dashwood. She wrestled a match on Impact the week previously, and then came out in a couple of segments later with the Brian Myers thing. We talked about the women's division. Is there a lack of depth with the kind of how big a talent they are to reuse Tenille Dashwood in this way?
Well, I think their problem in depth, I think it's the women's division. They don't have a lot of female wrestlers in there, and I think depending on the day they were taping this or whatever, and how many females they had in there. So, I don't know who she wrestled first, but maybe because, she probably didn't have a long match and she probably agreed to have another match. And usually you see that anyway. So, but I think as far as the female women's division and Impact, they don't have a lot of females in the roster, you know. So, but like I said, this kind of surprised me that they would add Tennille Dashwood as part of this Brian Myers and Matt Cardona feud. So that's what it threw me off a little bit when I saw that
Yeah.
matchup.
Well, I was about to say I was expecting more of the kind of singles match between Cardona and.
I think the reason they didn't do it, I think the reason they didn't do it is because remember they did have a one-on-one match, and that's the one where Cardona supposedly injured his knee. And if you're gonna put him again, now you gotta add a gimmick in the match. You're gonna be like last man standing or hardcore match, whatever, So why not add some females in there, And it was a good way for them to bring in who they wanted to bring in, which that was another surprise. I mean, I had a feeling that person was gonna show up, but I just saw them at the Ring of Honor best in the world. So,
Well, we see Matt Cardona make his way out, and like who that mystery partner will be. He stops at the top of the entrance ramp, then a theme for his fiancée, Chelsea Green, begins playing. The Joe make their way to the ring, and fans chant "Welcome back." Nice kiss on the ramp as well. And while Striker points out the cast of the Armour Green, pointing out should be medically cleared to compete. And of course, some of the commentators talk about real life dating history like Cardona and Dashwood. Now he's engaged to Green. Instead of seeing Green slap Dashwood, and the catfight breaks out. The Cardona and Myers break it up. Of course, leads to our matchup. But we get into the details of the matchup. What were your thoughts on Chelsea Green? Because I know it was an obvious choice, but it was the right decision, wasn't it?
It was the right decision for the simple fact that Chelsea Green has history and Impact, and again, like I said earlier, that they were promoting the event with surprises. They kept showing people from the past. So why not bring Chelsea Green? The only thing is that kind of surprised me is, like I said earlier, was Chelsea Green showed up a week ago or less than a week at Ring of Honor at the Best in the World, and she is part of that women's tournament that they're having. So my thing is, I say, wow, well, is she signed contract-wise with Impact, or it's just a shaking hands? Like Mike Cardona is not signed with Impact. He just show up in an agreement. So she signed with Ring of Honor. So seeing her there, it was very surprising, and the fact that she's still wearing that cast was another thing in my head. Like, it's been 8 months, she still got that cast. How bad that broken wrist is, So, because the wrist is like little pieces of bone. So, and she had the cast on, but it was wrapped up in black tape.
We'll be interested to see what happens with that. But we get straight into the match, and Cardona rode early. But face first, flatline on the instrument by Myers turned to tide in his and Dashwood's favour. Myers walked over Cardona for several minutes while Dashwood pulled Green off the apron for making a tag for her fiancé. Green finally tagged in and unloaded on Dashwood until both tumbled to the arena floor. Cardona down Myers and survived a low blow from Dashwood by revealing the cup. And from there, Cardona wiped out Myers and Caleb at ringside, and Green flattened Tennille with the unprettier for the pinfall victory. What were your thoughts?
Match was pretty good. I mean, Chelsea hit a Canadian destroyer on Myers, if I saw correctly. I think Tennille Dashwood, like I said, Tennille Dashwood involved in that feud. I think they could have got somebody better, It would have been more interesting. But I think that the only reason they did all that quick, it was like probably, 5-7 minute match. It was just to let everybody, look, Chelsea Green is back. So that match is pretty much more Chelsea Green is back. She's she's part of the division right now. Because after this match, I don't see Cardona and Myers continuing the feud. Cardona. Actually, Myers took the best out of Cardona when they were feuding one-on-one, and he pinned him, whatever. So unless you're gonna have another fight, another wrestling match, it will have to be a gimmick fight, something where loser leaves town, which they don't make those no more. A cage match or something crazy where the feud has to end. I don't see this feud ending like this. Women's got involved. No, it'll look weak. So who knows? We'll see what happens though.
No, I completely agree with you with the Cardona Myers thing. We're going to see that with, like you said, a gimmick involved. Green can add depth to the women's division, but this was another fun match. Out of 5, I'm going to give this 3 3/4 out of 5. What you scoring it?
Same thing, 3 3/4. It wasn't a bad match. I mean, pretty much it was just an introduction to let people know that Chelsea Green is back. I mean, they made it clear as soon as you saw the background on it. It had a green background. I'm like, it's Chelsea Green. You know, if anybody who's smart enough and who's a good wrestling fan knows that if you see green, Matt Cardona, Chelsea Green. There you go. That's what it is, you know. But you know, like I said, I was surprised. I was surprised that she actually showed up 6 days later at another company. So again, this Forbidden Door, anybody could go through any company now. That's what it seems to me. It's just that Ring of Honor is not. I think they're acting like they're not part of the Forbidden Door, but they are because they're still working with New Japan. So it's, you know, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Right. Well, prediction was on that match, we both went Cardona at Green, so both get our first points. So it's 1-1. Poll-wise, Cardona Green, 83% of the vote, so there wasn't really that much about that one. And then we get another video package for our next match, which of course will be a one-on-one showdown between W. Morrissey and Eddie Edwards. And of course, to talk about Morrissey undefeated in Impact. We get straight into the man, dominated the action early and often even shaking off a bum knee to wear down the former world champion every time it appeared. So Edwards might manage to come back. Morrissey cut him off, going as far as drive him into the ring apron with a choke slam. Eddie finally created separation, delivered a back body drop on the entrance ramp, or followed with a Boston knee party. He took down Morrissey with a sunset flip powerbomb and added a blue thunder bomb. Couldn't put away the undefeated monster. With desperation setting in, Morrissey wrapped his hand in the chain and rocked Edwards with it before adding a powerbomb for the win. What were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I like how Impact protected Eddie Edwards because Eddie Edwards, let's say, the heart and soul of Impact now. I was very impressed. You know, I mean, the size comparison, I was like, okay, Eddie Edwards is way smaller than this man. This man looks like a monster. You know, I call him the steroid edge because that's what he looked like. But he dominated most of the match, to put it that way, with his strength and size. But, you know, Eddie Edwards is one guy that's not going to back up. I mean, he caught him. I think he backdropped him on the ramp at one point. He hit him with the Boston Tea Party on the outside. He even hit him with that power bomb and that blue thunder bomb. I mean, the only thing is what I didn't understand was if he's dominating most of the match, why would he go and grab the chain from the outside and hit him? But again, they're trying to protect Eddie Edwards and they're trying to protect Morrissey. So the match was decent. I mean, it was a you know, David versus Goliath type thing. But their feud is not over. That feud is not over. I know that for a fact because I could see Eddie Edwards pretty much challenging Morrissey again. This time probably in some hardcore death match, some type of thing, and he'll probably get back a win. And then, you know, because Eddie Edwards has become the like Sammy Callahan's little brother now. You know, because he's always in some death match. But it's fun to watch, so, you know. I can't knock him for the match. Yeah.
No, I was say, like, both men are looked at as main event talent as well, aren't they? So this is the kind of thing they're trying to protect. I felt it was a little bit...
You got to protect Morrissey anyway, at the end of the day.
Yeah. You know, this is the thing, and it was quite slow at the start. Morrissey already taking shortcuts, but I guess you can let it off considering, like you said, Eddie Edwards is classed as a main event talent. What are you going to score out of 5?
I'll give it 3 3/4.
I'm just going to give that a kind of 3. I just thought it was kind of flat match, so to speak. Predictions, both went Morrissey, so it's 2-2 there. And poll-wise, Morrissey, 53% of the votes. So it's quite tight with him and Eddie.
Oh, sure. We were tied that long?
So, we...
getting my ass all the time, so...
Well, we go backstage with Moose is alone in the room and talks directly into the camera. Delivers a quick message to his opponent for tonight. Chris Sabin vowed to prove he's Mr. Impact and the god of wrestling. And then we see Jim interviewing fans about being back inside the building for tonight's show. As she talks, one particular squeaky voiced nerd comes. Commotion breaks out behind her. We see Madman Fulton and Shearer come down to the ring from the back. And they're bickering about something when Scott D'Amore shows up. He talks about Shearer being upset he couldn't be at ringside during the Ultimate X match. He decides that the two look like they're ready for action. So they give him some action in the form of 2 surprise opponents. And on that note, out comes the duo Finn Juice. Finley and Juice Robinson make their way down to the ring and D'Amore calls for a quick impromptu match. And that's exactly what we get. It's literally a minute or two before the bell rings. Finn Juice picks up the quick and easy victory. What do you think of this so-called match, but more of the surprise of Finn Juice?
I watched that match and I'm like, okay. I understand you're trying to bring Finn Juice, you're trying to bring in New Japan wrestlers because you did promote that some New Japan wrestler was going to show up or whatever. You bring in Finn Juice, but at the same time, you're killing Madman Fulton and Shira and making them real weak. Madman Fulton, I think that guy should be in a higher level than what he's at right now. You know, for him to be teaming up with Shira, it didn't make sense. To me, it didn't make sense because they started arguing in the middle of the match, and I'm like, okay, this didn't make sense. Okay, I understand that according to the storyline for the Ultimate X, they were banned from ringside, but you're gonna make them team up, and then when they're about to fight Finjuice or wrestle Finjuice, now they get into this argument. The match lasted what, 2 minutes? If you want to bring in Finjuice, you could bring in Finjuice as maybe when once the 4-way tag team it's it's done, and they come out and they'll challenge the Good Brothers, whatever the case may be, or whoever the winner is, and then but not like this. I think it was just to me. I love Finjuice. I just didn't like the way they did Madman Fulton and Shira because these guys are the futures of the company. You're gonna make them look weak. I think that was you was making them look weak. I don't know if you agree with me with that, but I think Madman Fulton, that guy is. I mean, he should be at another level. He should be at least going for. I mean, for some title there. You know.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I said, sometimes, like I said, it's nice seeing Finjuice come in, but then you have to look at long-term goals from this as well. And then we get a video package for the next bout leading up between Moose and Chris Sabin. Now, before I get into the match, is this a step? I mean, obviously, it's a step down from Moose. How do you think Moose should be booked? I mean, he's just faced Kenny Omega, come up short thanks to the Bucks getting interfering, and then he's facing Sabin at the next pay-per-view.
Well, you know, I don't know why these wrestling companies do this. They sign a guy, they got him for another 2 years, right? The guy was real hot at the beginning of the year. He did team up with Sabin and Rich Swann to go after the Elite in the beginning of Hard to Kill, I think it was. And excuse me. Um, Now all of a sudden the guy loses to he loses to Omega, not even cleanly because there was outside interference. And all of a sudden now they're bringing him down to the mid card level. I don't understand that. And then I see what they were trying to do as far as the storyline between Moose and Sabin when he turns back on Sabin, and they figure, well, we're gonna put Sabin against Moose because Sabin's been around for a long time. As far I think it was for more like as part of the anniversary, to give Sabin against Moose, who's been hot, whatever. I just don't like what they're doing with Moose right now. Like you're bringing him back down, and this guy should be as one of the top, maybe the top two guys in the company, right? Because I think Sammy Callahan and Moose has been the top two guys in the company, and the way I see it now, all of a sudden now you're bringing him back down to mid card level. I don't understand that.
No, like I said, it's strange to see, and I'm glad I'm not alone with that. So Sabin and Moose came out with some interesting entrance attire, should we say? And Sabin cut a frantic pace early, only to have his onslaught negated by the strength and ferocity of his opponent. Moose punished Sabin, chopping him and obliterating him with a drop kick to the face. The high risk moonsault by Moose allows Sabin to mount a comeback, but Moose halted his momentum with a fall away slam for the top rope. That is incredible strength and agility. He ragdolls Sabin back and forth into the barricades, but Sabin, ever is in it, babyface, caught Moose with the dreaded roll-up for the upset victory. So Moose loses again.
Let me tell you something. This damn dreaded roll-ups that I've been seeing in wrestling the last couple of weeks between WWE and Impact with these roll-ups. Again, like I said earlier in my statement, where I think the reason they put Sabin in this match is because of the anniversary show. He's one of the originals. And for him to, I mean, I don't understand why would you pin the guy who's been hot the last 6 months to a guy who pretty much the last 6 months has been in a tag team. He has gotten pinned. He has gotten beaten up. So now you got Sabin, who right now you're not making Sabin world champion. No time, nowhere in the future. In the future, to a guy who just signed a 2-year deal, who could be your future world champion. So I don't understand why would you have Sabin pin him and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, Sabin's not going to win the world title anytime soon. Or I don't see him in the world title picture. So why would you get pinned by Chris Sabin? So like I said, it's just you bringing him down to mid card level. This guy is talented, I mean, he did. Let me put it this way: how many 7 foot guys have you seen in your wrestling, fan history do a fall away slam? It was like a fall away slam moonsault from the top
Yeah.
rope while holding a guy who weighs almost 200 pounds. Nobody. You never see nobody do that. He does the Spanish fly from the top rope. Nobody does it better. He's one of the top 3 guys that does it, besides Will Ospreay and Lance Archer. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like, I don't understand why would you do that. And this is why Impact. This is why I get mad with Impact, because you're doing great with a wrestler, and then once a wrestler signs with you, now you want to do all crazy stuff. I mean, look what they've done to Sue Young, but we won't talk about that.
But this is the thing, and it's not like a shot at Saban, because Saban's all right, but it's just like the treatment of Moose, especially being at the top of the mountain and then losing again another big show, because, obviously with Rich Swann and everything like that, he's lost Rich Swann now, he's lost against Saban, he's lost against Kenny Omega. What are you going to score this out of 5, like?
Well, as far as the match was concerned, even though I wasn't too happy with the result, the match was decent. It was a decent match. I'll give it probably a 3 3/4, in my opinion. I just didn't like the way he got pinned, but the match was decent. The match wasn't a type of match where it was boring, whatever. Because Saban came out strong. He started working on Moose's legs and all that stuff. And from there, Moose did what he did. I mean, and he did pretty well. So I give it a 3 3/4.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 1/4 out of 5. Predictions, we both went Moose, so it's 2-2 still. And of course, poll-wise, Moose got 69% of the vote. And Omega Fan for Life put they're not going to have Moose lose 2 pay-per-views in a row. I'm sorry, mate. They did.
Exactly, they did. That's the part that kills me. You just had him in one of the biggest matches of his career, and he didn't lose clean. And then you're going to put him in there with Saban. And I understand the storyline, and I understand what's the purpose of it, but you could have chose somebody else instead of Moose. Moose is just right now. He's been I think he's been the MVP guy in the half of the year, and
But he's the guy that you want people to look at. No offense to Sammy Callahan or Eddie Edwards, but he looks like he's leading your company.
Yeah,
and I think
he's built. He looks like a champ. He walks like a champ. But like I said, I don't know what the guys in the backstage or higher ups are thinking, but this guy should be pushed to the moon. They should have pushed him from the moon from the get go. But then they put him by the time they put him with Omega, he already had lost to Rich Swann. So and then his match with Omega wasn't all bad either. They didn't make him look strong, and then the ending of the match, a lot of people were upset about that, the way they ended that match. So we'll see what happens next pay-per-view.
Yeah, exactly. Let's hope Moose they can get behind him again, rebuild him, and then we get a quick backstage victory promo from the new Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Decay, heading into the Impact World Tag Team Championship match. Rich Swann and Willie Mack versus Falaban, the Mystery versus Violent by Design, and Bar stops at the top. Chanting his name and his music volume fades down. He gets on the mic and talks about being asked to cut with a replacement for TJP. He says it's no way Jose, and out comes no way Jose and some friends and dancers and make their way down to the ring. They sing and dance and they get to ringside. Now, I know you're not a huge WWE fan, so what do you think of these cast-offs coming who are just literally just a gimmick?
Listen, I'm not a WWE fan now because of the way they're treating the product. And some of the guys that go, I figure, listen, if WWE lets you go, now you don't have to wrestle the way the WWE do, saying that you got to wrestle. Change your gimmick. Do something different. But when you come in with that same dumbass gimmick that you came in from WWE, and then Impact, and I get mad with Impact because Impact, I know you got guys like Tommy Dreamer in there, you got the guys that have been in the business, that maybe could tell Jose, look, change your gimmick a little bit, do it this way. But you come in with the same gimmick that didn't get over in WWE. You're trying to bring it in non-Impact. So, I mean, it was nice seeing him because I'm like, okay, maybe he'll have some resurrection in his career. But in the match, he did something and he bossed. I'm like, I'm done. I'm freaking done. I'm like, I was like, I know him and Bod, I'm not gonna win. But when I saw that, and he looked taller than everybody except Joe Doring and Luke Gallows. So I'm like, I can't. I mean, he looked
They,
good. He looked good as physical wise, but his gimmick, I'm like, no.
no, this was kind of silly. But weirdly enough, Tommy Dreamer did reference this on Impact when Diana Prazzo asked him who her partner would be, and he says, "No way, Jose." And he goes, "It's not going to be him." So why say that when you're going to use him at the paper? I just didn't understand.
We're talking about Tommy Dreamer here.
Yeah.
I got no words for Tommy Dreamer. I don't understand why would you say that when the guy's going to show up at the paper.
Okay. Also, what was on Joe Doring's head as he came out? He had like, I don't know if it was like
check your mic, buddy. Check your mic.
It was the mic on. I was about to say with Joe Doring, he had something on his head, and I had no idea what it was.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Was it me or Violent by Design came out looking weak in a damn match?
Yeah, they look weird, but as I say, I weren't sure about what they have. We get into the match now. We see Doc Gallows.
I'm like, I got a lot to say about that match because I'm like, Violent by Design looked at Violent by I don't want to wrestle.
Well, Doc Gallows and Carl Hansen cut off Swan. Isolate him in the corner to attack to No Way. Saw the fun-loving man explode into the match. He actually broke down, giving way to a tense stare down between Gallows and a massive Doring. The heavyweights exchanged hard choke before the other combatants re-entered the ring. Just as it appeared as though Doring and Rhino were about to retain their titles, the Good Brothers entered the match, drove the world's widest man into the mat, and were the Magic Killer and stole the win and the championships. So, yeah, what were your thoughts?
Let me see. First of all, I was waiting and waiting for Doring and Luke Gallows to go at it. I waited and waited. It's like the match was mostly Rich Swann and Willie Mack against the Good Brothers because the Good Brothers dominated this match. They were beating up on Rich Swann for most of the match, and by the time the Forbiden by Design came in, it was like the Good Brothers already had taken control of everything. The nice part was Doring and Gallows going at it, two big guys going at it. But I don't know, was it Forbiden by Design were hurt or somebody was hurt? Because I mean, Rhino, he got hit with the Magic Killer and they pinned him like nothing. So, I mean, I don't think you should even put that as a forward. If you're gonna give the belts back to the Good Brothers, I mean, you might as well have put the Good Brothers against Forbiden by Design. I think that would have been a better match. I gotta give this match a 3. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I was very, very disappointed because I thought because of Forbiden by Design being part of, they were the world champs. Being in there, they were gonna be in there more consistent, and you only saw really the Good Brothers taking over the whole match. You had a little comedy there between No Way Jose and Ray Swann, but No Way Jose and Bob was not gonna win that. You know that. Not with No Way Jose in there. Hell no. But I don't know. It could have been a better match. And this is why I say after that match was over and whoever won the title, Finn Juice could have came out there and made it more interesting. But they didn't do it. They put them like 2 matches ahead or whatever it was. But this match could have been better. I gave it a 3.
Yeah, I mean, a mix of characters. I mean, there was quite a mix of characters in that matchup. It was an okay match with the right winner. I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5. Prediction-wise, we both went Good Brothers, so it's still 3 all. Poll-wise,
you being nice by giving it a 3.5.
I am. Poll-wise, Follow Matt got 13%, Bar 14%, VBD 33%, and the Good Brothers 40% there. And after a quick check-in backstage, we see Kenny Omega in his locker room and Sami Callihan in his. They count down the 5 moments to the big main event. And then we see the video package for the Knockouts title on the line. The virtuoso Jenna Prazzo, as she puts up against a mystery opponent. We see her make her way to the ring and get a huge reaction from the fans. She settles and following some long, drawn-out silence, we hear the entrance music of the mystery title challenger as former NWA Women's Champion and AEW Women's Wrestling veteran Thunder Rosa making her way out. She gets in the ring. The fans break out in a Thunder Rosa Virtuosa and chant. That just so happens to rhyme. Before we get on to the match, what were your thoughts of Thunder Rosa being the mystery opponent?
Oh, listen, that was another big time surprise. I did not expect this. And this, once I saw that Thunder Rosa against Deonna Purrazzo, that's a dream match. Any promotion. And again, Impact, they did themselves with that one. And I mean, I was happy. I like her new gimmick now. She came with that bird head, whatever it is, but it looked nice on her. It was fun to see that. I was like, wow, it's like I dropped everything and I really wanted to watch this match and focus on this match.
Well, it is the Impact Knockouts Championship. Diana Perazzo versus Thunder Rose. We get early back and forth, give way to a missile dropkick to the face-painted challenger, only for Perazzo to twice look for a Fujiwara armbar. Rose escaped and delivered a double stomp to the spine of the champion for a close 2 count. Perazzo escaped the Thunder driver and showed her adaptability, abandoned the submission attempts, delivered a Queen's Gambit pole driver for the win. What were your thoughts on the matchup?
The match was great, and the fact that Diana Perazzo tried to put that armbar on Thunder Rosa and was unsuccessful shows you what Thunder Rosa is made of because her MMA background. But Diana Perazzo, I'm telling you, there is no one in the business right now hot as far as her win streak, her wrestling skills. Diana Perazzo is the truth, is the real. I'll consider the real world champion professional wrestler. Because this woman, even Thunder Rosa, who former NWA champion, who took Britt Baker to the limit with a non-sanction match, she couldn't beat her. So who is out there who could beat her? I don't see nobody could beat her. And with that right there, I think it justifies what I'm saying as far as Diana Perazzo. And this is a woman that I followed since her day in Ring of Honor, and when she was just starting. And what she's at now, from 2014 to now, 7 years, man, that woman I'm like a big fan of her. Big time. I'm dying for her to show up at AEW and challenge Britt Baker.
Well, with Diona, it's the little touches and the looks that are just so top. And people don't realise, just watch her wrestle and she does everything for a reason. And, you can see that. For me, the only complaint was it was too quick. I could have done with a lot longer with these two women.
Oh, really? You thought it was quick?
I could have had 25 minutes of this. I wouldn't have been an issue.
That is true. It would have been cool. But, I think I don't have to complain the timing. I guess because I got into it, because I was like, wow, this is like a dream match, I think it could have been a little longer, but, Diana Perazzo, man, when she starts working on her body part, I mean, you can't really do nothing. You're not gonna last long. She kept working on that arm, and the only thing that I think if it wasn't Thunder Rosa in that ring, whoever was in there with her would have quit because she put the armbar about 3 or 4 times, and Thunder Rosa was able to escape. And I think it's on MMA background. But anybody else, they would have tapped. It would have been shorter than that. Then you would have really had a complaint.
Yeah, but also another thing I like is, like I said, they didn't. Thunder Rosa didn't tap out. It's pinfall. Yeah, she lost, but submissions always seem to maybe a little bit worse. But once the match wrapped up, looked like Perazzo had something to say. She grabs the microphone. Before she can speak, however, the female Mickie James hits the fans of the Impact Zone, as well as commentators react big. Fans break out in a welcome back chant as Mickie gets on the mic. She says it feels good to be back in front of a live crowd again. She's saying, and she says, being here in Nashville, she knows there's one thing everyone likes, and that's country. Diana Perazzo takes exception to Mickie. She's trying to steal a spotlight and a big moment. And Mickie says that while she's out, she runs down some of the many accomplishments Diana has achieved in Impact. Mickie brings up being the VP of NWA Empowered, and she then extends an invitation to Perazzo. Perazzo says, of course, Mickie wants her on the show, just like every other company. She again criticises Mickie for ruining her moment. She tells to do everything a favour, grab your trash bag and get the hell out of here. Mickie drops her mic and slaps the owner. Diana tries swinging back, but Mickie blocks it and drops to a big kick. She shouts out, take that, bitch, and says, now that's hardcore country. And music plays as Diana leaves with her title. What are your thoughts on that?
I laugh because I love how Impact takes shots at WWE. Because they throw grab your garbage bag and leave. And I'm like, yeah, it's like Impact, just give it up. Stop taking shots at WWE. Like, come on, stop. I mean, as far as the whole segment, I liked it for the simple fact that shows you the Impact is maybe working with NWA. Or them not, it's not that they might, but they are working with NWA. But Mickie James is under contract with NWA, so that shows you that probably you may see that they have an NWA tournament coming up, I think next month. They might use some of the women from Impact. And Impact is not afraid to work with other companies because I've seen them work with House of Glory out here in New York. They've done pay-per-views with them. You see they're working with AEW, New Japan. But it's cool because they're trying to, right now, NWA is extending invitations to Deanna Purrazzo to come into this tournament. Goes to show you that the wrestling business, professional wrestling business, besides WWE, know that Deanna Purrazzo is the real deal. You know, I could see her and maybe Britt Baker, but not, I think Britt is injured, but, Deanna Purrazzo right now is the real deal. This was great because it shows you that Mickey James may be the next girl who may have a title shot against Deanna Purrazzo, because Deanna Purrazzo has run Rob shot all over the women's division. I don't see nobody beating her yet.
No, but like I said, the forbidden doors continue to open. It appears now that the Impact has some relationship with NWA, and that's the case. Potential for crossovers in the women's division is plentiful, and fresh matchups for Purrazzo, so it's a win-win situation for both. For the match, though, out of 5, I'm going to give Purrazzo and Rose 3 3/4. What were you going to score it?
Yeah, I'll give it about 3 3/4. It could have, like I said, it could have been a little longer. The match was pretty good. Maybe because it wasn't in a big arena, and there was more crowd. I think if they would have done it in a bigger arena, a bigger place, and people would have gotten into it, I think it would have been a little longer. But they wrestled at almost the end of the card. So
well, prediction-wise, both went Purrazzo with Lovelace's Mystery, so it's still 4-all as we head into the main event. Poll-wise, you only got 56% of that. And then we get quick ad time promoting Impact Wrestling Homecoming on the 31st and Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory in Las Vegas, October 23rd.
Homecoming and then we get
Homecoming. I don't know why. They're literally doing it at the end of this month.
Really? I thought it was the 29th. I don't know why. Yeah. I want to check Homecoming. I know some of the results of it, but I'm not spoiling it for the fans.
Well, like I said, we're Homecoming. Hopefully we'll carry it here on the WNR podcast. And then the main event video package to tell the full story leading up to tonight's main event, which features Kenny Omega against Sami Callihan in no disqualification match for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship. We're going to get straight into the action because the draw struck early, delivering a pile driver for close near full for producing a pizza cutter and slicing into the forehead of the champ. He tore off Omega's forehead and delivered Death Valley driver. Omega reeling wisely rode to the floor. Omega fought off a roll-up, sending Callihan head first into a steel chair propped between the ropes. The champ followed up by using Callahan's fork against him, driving it into his forehead and blooding the challenger. He double stomped a table into Sami as he continued his onslaught. That was great looking stuff. The champion set up for a pile driver for a table, but the challenger grabbed him low and delivered one of his own. That looked vicious. And then Callihan produced a barbed wire wrapped chair, but Omega delivered a powerbomb on the weapon, followed it with V-trigger, but could not put him away. A suplex onto the concoction of weaponry also finished Callihan. A tombstone on the chair, but then blinded by salt thrown in his eyes. Callihan delivered a pile driver to the referee, as you do. Chris Sabin and Eddie Edwards fought off the Good Brothers, preventing them from interfering on Omega's behalf, but Don Callis did, though, allowing Omega to deliver consecutive V-triggers, assisted with thumbtacks. The one-winged angel on the thumbtacks put away the draw, and Omega successfully retained his title. So a lot of shenanigans.
No.
What were your thoughts on that main event?
That main event was, first of all, the way Sami Callihan came out of nowhere and just power drive Omega out of nowhere, and I thought he won the match. I mean, he had me standing up from my feet. I was like, oh my God, he's going to pin him right. And then the pizza cutter, I mean, you knew it was going to be brutal. I mean, I enjoyed every minute of that match. That match, I think, even though I was really, I wanted Callahan to win, which I had a feeling he wasn't going to win, but I'll say it's a no disqualification. Something's going to happen. Somebody's going to get in. This was an awesome match. I would like to see them go at it again at this type of level again. That's how much I like it. And Omega, I mean, besides the Moose match, and he had the wrist form match, which was pretty good. But this match, I think he topped both of those matches, and he took a beating. I got to give it to Omega. He took a beating. Coming from Sami Callihan, you go in that ring, you know you're in for a beating. And Callihan, you got to give it to him. He took a lot of punishment. And, I mean, this match was awesome. And right now, that match, I will give it, you don't think I'm crazy, but I give that match a 4 3/4. But that match was good. And this is a hardcore match, but it was great. I mean, you knew Omega was going to win some way, somehow, especially with Don Callis around, no disqualification. But I would love to see these guys go at it again.
where I thought it was real shades of Cactus versus Triple H, that the Rumble and stuff like that. With the kind of young, the young champion, but the champion having to go through this kind of mentally deranged masochist, so to speak.
Wow. You took me back. I remember that.
This is vicious, brutal finish. The only thing that I laughed at during this is the rope break to stop a pinfall in a no disqualification match.
Wow, I forgot. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think Impact messed up there. I don't know, but it didn't take it didn't take away from the match itself, though. I mean, I totally forgot about that too. I forgot to write down my notes. Yeah.
No. Well, that's
good,
the with a rating. I'm going to give it 4 3/4 out of 5 as well. Like I said, really good main event. But once the match wraps up, Callis leaves his position at the announce desk and heads to the ring, as do the Good Brothers. The Elite Group celebrate in the ring, get ready to do the 2 sweet hand gesture touch in the middle of the ring, just as the lights in the Impact Zone go out. When the lights come back up, the theme for the Bullet Club Zone, Jay White plays as he makes his way down to the ringside to a stunned, silent crowd and equally perplexed commentary team. The Switchblade slowly makes his way down to ringside, hop on the ring apron before finally entering the ring as the fans chant his name. He stares over at Kenny, Omega, Don Callis and the Good Brothers. They all throw up the 2 sweet hand gesture and look over at White. White looks around at the fans and pauses and leans towards them, and the commentators say, "Here we go." But then the Impact Wrestling logo flashes across the screen and the pay-per-view goes off the air with the cliffhanger. It looks like Mega wasn't that happy about it. What were your thoughts on the ending of this? And for anybody that doesn't know Jay White, what does he bring to Impact as well?
Oh my God, the King Switch, Mr. King Switch, the leader of the Bullet Club. Listen, a lot of people, if they have not seen Jay White and his wrestling matches, he brings a lot to the table. This guy he's one of those guys that he will take it to a 35, 40-minute match, and he would take punishment, but he would deliver the punishment. He's a trash talker when he's in that ring, and trust me, this guy, he's been IWGP champion, he's been IWGP Intercontinental champion, he's the current Never Openweight champion. So this guy has won championship. He won the United States IWGP champion a couple of years ago. So this guy's resume is not, he has been the who's who in New Japan, and he's beaten Kenny Omega in the past. He beat Kenny Omega for the United States champion in 2017. This guy, he is no joke. All I'm saying right now. And if everybody thinks that, he came from Japan, he's gonna get pinned very easily in Impact. This guy is the real deal. And like I said in my podcast a couple of weeks ago, with him coming in there, do not be surprised. He's not coming in there by himself. You're gonna be surprised. The Gorillas of Destiny, Tamatanga Tamaloa, shows up in Impact along with him and Masahito Geto, or Jado actually, and shows up there. This is a great, like I said, this is a great time to be a professional wrestling fan. And Impact is taking advantage of this New Japan working relationship. They didn't open the door. They kicked down the door with Jay White showing up at Slammiversary.
Well, the thing is, the Impact have done. We talked about the Forbidden Door in the past, but Impact seems to have just been embracing everything. And look at the look back on the pay-per-view. It's unbelievable the kind of talent that's involved as well. And Jay White and a lot of people might not know what's going to happen. But this looks. Would you say that the Bound for Glory looks to be kind of set now with Jay White via Omega, or will we see twists and turns on the way there?
For Bound for Glory, according to reports that I have been reading, and I think they did announce it on the pay-per-view, and I didn't really notice it until like 2 days later. Bound for Glory, the way Impact is doing it, I think they're going to have AEW, AAA, New Japan stars join them for that Bound for Glory. I definitely could see Kenny Omega versus Jay White at the main event for Bound for Glory. Now, is Jay White going to stay there? Because we're talking about Bound for Glory, the thing is in October, if I'm correct. So we still got like 3 months to go. So if these guys are going to meet up down for Bound for Glory, what's going to happen from this now all the way to Bound for Glory? And like I mentioned, there's no way that Jay White's going to be there and right now getting into it with the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega by himself. He's gonna need help. So don't be surprised if the Good Brothers, I mean not the Good Brothers, the Brothers of Destiny show up at Impact, because this is something for everybody to think about. Not right now. New Japan has this thing, the summer struggle going on in New Japan, the last 2 or 3 weeks, right? During that time, the Brothers of Destiny has not worked any of those shows. So that means to tell me that they're in the United States, because these guys are in Florida. So don't be surprised if one of these weeks you see them show up out of nowhere, where they probably attack Jay White and they're about to do something, and then they show up and they challenge the Good Brothers. I mean, listen, Impact right now has the ball in their court. They are taking, like you said, they're embracing this Forbidden Door and they're running with it. It's not like what AEW is doing. AEW is not running with the ball, because they figure like, well, we really don't need New Japan. The one who needs New Japan more is Impact. So Impact is embracing it and they're running with it. And now, Bound for Glory, they're talking about bringing in AAA. That's AAA. That's a Mexican company. You talk about New Japan, AEW, and then themselves. That's full promotion. And who knows? NWA could be in it somewhere down the line. So it's going to be like a big supercar called Bound for Glory.
It's going to be awesome. Like I said, it's an awesome time. Right, let's go back to Slammiversary quickly, because we just, obviously, the main event, poll-wise for that, Omega was 62% of that. And prediction-wise, we both went Omega. So final scores 5-5. We drew again when it comes to pay-per-views. There's no separating us.
Yeah, because we're so good at it. That's why.
Without doubt. So just three things before we wrap up Impact. First off, who was your MVP of the night for Impact Wrestling for Slammiversary?
Like I said, Petey Williams. I think because after all these years, he's been on and off with the company for the last 19 years, and you look at a guy like that after all these years, he's still doing that. Canadian Destroyers, anywhere. I mean, he could be on the top rope to somebody's shoulder. So, and Petey Williams, even though he did not win the match, but to me, he was the MVP of the night. I mean, because he's still. I don't know how old he's in his 40s. I know that, but he still got it. He still got it. I mean, there were others there that I could say that show Eddie Edwards. He did pretty good, but I think Petey Williams was my MVP of the night.
I think I got to say Sami Callihan, because I know he's the hardcore deathmatch, probably his best thing, but he looked like a main event player alongside Kenny Omega and delivered a hell of a main event as well. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Kenny Omega, it's because he was involved, and it's Sami Callihan's domain, and I think it just shows you what he can do there. The match of the night, I think both of us said it was the main event. Are you happy with that being our match of the night?
I go with that and Ultimate X, because I think they were both on that same level. I think for the Ultimate X, I liked it. You know what? The Sami Callihan and Omega was what I expected. I mean, it was fun, but I think the Ultimate X was a little bit better to me because of the guys who were involved.
Well, Ultimate X, your match of the night, and then finally a rating out of 10 as well.
Well, Slammiversary to me was an 8.5, close to a 9, because they hit it out of the ballpark. This pay-per-view reminded me of Rebellion, and this was better than Rebellion. So to me, the way they promoted it, I mean, even though they had Okada, they had all this, but I know what it is, Samoa Joe. So when you first saw that, when you started promoting that in Rebellion, you think, oh my God, Okada's gonna be a Samoa Joe's gonna be. Samoa Joe was just let go from WWE. So, but even though those guys weren't there, but you had the Chelsea Green showed up, you had the Thunder Rosa, you had who else showed up there? Jay White. I mean, that was a big thing. Even though word was that Andrade was the one they were gonna pick to do that instead of Jay White, but because of financial situation, they couldn't come to an agreement. They had Jay White showed up. So, but it was great. It was I give it an 8. I'm gonna give it a 9. That's how good it was.
Yeah, no, I literally a 9 is what I'm going to give it. Everything delivered, and all the surprises. And when you look at a show where the matches deliver and the surprises actually add to it. The other thing about a pay-per-view, I think so many people forget, is it's not just the actual show itself, but it's what you want. And this is set the stage now for the next 3 months. Like I said, we're talking about an event that happens in October, in July, and it shows you they knocked out of the park and that pay-per-view to build our expectation for it.
And you know what's crazy about it? And luckily over here, I'm able to watch it on demand. I totally forgot to record Impact this week, and then I saw a little bit of clip of what happened. I'm so mad because I'm like, oh damn, I didn't get to see it. That is crazy because a year ago you would have never had me worried about not watching Impact. So that tells you, me as a professional wrestling fan, that I'm so interested, I'm so invested in what's going on. I may miss a couple of episodes, but I always go on YouTube and check on what's going on, or I'll see little clips. But I'm like invested right now, especially now with Bound for Glory coming up in October, and now that the announcement that AAA is involved, New Japan and AEW, that might be one of the best Bound for Glory shows ever. But we'll see, and we'll see where the storylines go. If Jay White's going to end up wrestling Omega for the belt, is he going to put the never open weight title on the line? Because now their feud is about who's the real belt collector, you know? Yeah. So, and this has been going on since January of this year actually. So that's where everybody, if you're an Impact wrestling fan, this is what you got to look at. And, you know, these guys are going to wrestle each other on Bound for Glory, and if Jay White's belt is on the line. Because if Jay White's belt is on the line, and White loses the belt to Omega, which I probably could see that happening, then you probably could see the IWGP champion showing up at Impact, and that belt goes into the ring, rest probably for next year. But we'll see, though, because right now Omega has his hands full right now. He has Adam Page coming up. He's after his belt. You got Andrade, who's trying to go after his AAA belt, and they're going to wrestle next month at Triple Mania. So Omega got his hands full.
I think that would be an understatement to say Kenny Omega has got his hands full. But like I said, it builds so much excitement. And finally, we finished with Lance Storm because he said Slammiversary, in addition to their Impact roster, had talent associated with AEW, NWA, Ring of Honor, AAA, and New Japan on that show. What a time to be a fan, and what a time to be a wrestler, and you can't really argue with that. The next time with Impact Wrestling will be August 4th for Homecoming. Now, because they've got, I think it's like a mixed match challenge that they're doing, the King and Queen of Impact, and there'll be a couple of episodes with Impact along with that. But that is it for now. So that's down to, I mean, like I said, if you want to join me for that, then let me know. If not, no problems. But I know you will be joining me for my next episode, which will be looking at AEW.
Yeah, because I'm heading to Florida on August 5th. So if we don't do it that week, the following week definitely will do it when I'm back. And that'll be August 11th. So we could do it then. August 11th or the 6th, the weekend of that, when I come back to Florida. So it'll probably be the 13th. So I'll definitely, because, you know, like I said, the Homecoming, I definitely want to do that with you. So, you know, and I don't want to be waiting 2 months to do stuff with you. You know what I'm saying? That's too long. Yeah, so.
Well, that is true.
Yeah, so, you know, it's like last time we hooked up was for Double or Nothing. That was in May. So we can't be doing this, sir.
No, we will not. So okay, we get that sorted out for Impact. But you are on our next show as well, because like I said, we'll be looking at AEW, Road Rager, and of course Fighter Fest as well. But that is it for today. Before we go, don't forget, across all social media at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR. Do you want to just tell everybody where you are?
Well, you can find me at my YouTube channel, the Chokeslam Wrestling Report. I just dropped a video there yesterday talking about several things. And then you can find me on the audio, same thing, Chokeslam Wrestling Report, on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and any audio platforms that you guys could want to listen to, or you listen to your shows. You can find me everywhere. I'm everywhere. So you can't say you can't find me. There's no excuse.
Well, that is true. The WNR also on Facebook and Instagram, across all the Google platforms. Send us an email at WNRpodcast@gmail.com, and YouTube is WNR Podcast. With all latest clips of podcasts at the same time on YouTube, is do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that's it. Like I said, our next episode is more Ultimate One, AEW, Road Rager, and Fighter Fest. But until then, I've been James Rollins, and I was joined by the fantastic Ultimate One. Again, it's been too long. We'll make sure it never happens again, all right?
Yes, sir. All right.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. I was James Rodens, and bye.